Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to be doing my 2022 Senate midterms prediction. So first of all, let's get the Rust Belt states out of the way. So first of all, I do think that Ron Johnson is going to retain his Senate seat and win re-election for I think a final term. He's done it before, he's won it before, but his approval rating isn't that great in Wisconsin as of right now. So that will hurt him a little bit. He's facing Mandela Barnes, the Democratic candidate, who is setting up to challenge against him. Johnson is going to win with a margin of 4 percentage points. That is considered a lean margin. Now moving on to the next state. For Pennsylvania, I do think the Democratic candidate John Fetterman, the former lieutenant governor, I believe, who is facing up Dr. Mehmet Oz. And Dr. Mehmet Oz has no experience in politics, exactly no experience. And he never has won a race at all. This is his first time ever running, first time ever getting into politics. And with that being said, that is going to negatively affect the Republicans in Pennsylvania. And previously, they were supposed to win until Parnell opted out of the race. He dropped out of the race due to personal reasons. And that, ever since, hurt the GOP nominating Dr. Mehmet Oz. And if you never won a race ever, whether it's a Senate or governor's race or anything, House of Representatives, you will probably not be nominated. And John Fetterman, the Democrat, has won. Former lieutenant governor. And with that being said, I think he's a little bit slightly more favored. I feel like voters, especially independents, feel more comfortable with Fetterman because they don't know how Dr. Oz is going to do because he's never been in politics before. So it just makes sense that John Fetterman is going to win. And I think the margin he's going to win by is not going to be that much at all. I think John Fetterman will be elected by about 1 percentage point. That is a tilt margin. And that is a very, very slim lead. I think Republicans could actually win this seat if it was Parnell, but he dropped out of the race. And with that being said, they shot themselves in the foot nominating Dr. Oz. Would McCormick be any better? I don't think so. Arguably, no. I think Parnell was the best shot, and him dropping out just ruined everything. Like, if it's not Parnell, it's not going to be McCormick. McCormick, come on, he's not going to win. He's not any better than Dr. Oz. And I just think Parnell should have been the nominee. He actually was until he dropped out due to personal reasons, as we all know. State for the Rust Belt, and then we'll move on to the eastern states, eastern side of the region of United States. Ohio. I think that J.D. Vance, a Trump-endorsed candidate, just like Dr. Oz, is going to win. He's going to defeat the Democrat Tim Ryan, who people say he is a strong Democratic candidate. Well, I could agree as well. But knowing the fact that Ohio is a very, very Republican state, ever since 2016, it has shifted heavily towards the Republicans. So even if Tim Ryan is a strong Democratic candidate, it still won't go to the Democrats. J.D. Vance will still win, even though Tim Ryan is a good Democratic candidate, because Ohio is just a red state. And if you see a red next to the candidate's name, Ohio's probably going to elect any Republican, as long as you see a red, an R next to that person's name on the ballot, because it is typically red state ever since 2016. I think J.D. Vance is going to win by 6%. I think which is a lean margin, by the way. 7% and up. 7% to 15% is a likely margin. 2.5% to 6% is a lean margin. So I'm going to say lean to likely for J.D. Vance. I think the big question is, would he win by how much Donald Trump won? It's a yes or no question. If you don't think he's going to win by as much as Donald Trump won, then that is clearly less than 8%. Because Donald Trump won back in 2016 and in 2020 by around 8%. So if you think J.D. Vance can't put up the numbers that Donald Trump won, then he's going to win by less than 8%. If you think J.D. Vance will do better than Trump, then J.D. Vance will get more than 8%. So that's the way to put it. When you're talking margins in Ohio's Senate race, it's basically, would J.D. Vance do better than Donald Trump? And if you're going to say no, I'm going to say he's going to win by 6%. I don't think he would quietly put up the numbers Trump did. But him being endorsed by Trump will get him very close to Trump's numbers. I think he's going to win 6 to 7% for J.D. Vance. It's just too much of a red state. Even though Tim Ryan arguably is a good Democratic candidate, I just don't see it. I think. So now, moving on to the state of New Hampshire, Maggie Hassan won by just 1,000 votes last time around in 2016. She won by 1,400 votes. That is a slim margin. And guess what? Maggie Hassan won in a red wave year last time. And guess what? It's supposedly supposed to be a red wave year again. So, with that being said, Maggie Hassan can definitely win. But you can also argue that that margin she won last time wasn't good at all, which I agree. 1,000 votes. That is just that's just 1%. She won by 1% last time. Or sorry, excuse me. That is less than 1% actually. She won by 0.1%. Excuse me. That is 0.1%. Yes. Maggie Hassan can definitely lose, and I can see that happening. But will she? The thing that is turning me off of the state of New Hampshire, and the thing that the most is wanting me to pick Maggie Hassan, is that she won in a red wave year last time. And I think in 2022, it's going to be less of a red wave year than in 2016. 2016 was more of a red wave year than in 2022. And if she can win in a red wave year, she can definitely win in a lesser red wave year, I should say. So Maggie Hassan, I believe 1% is the margin for me. Tilt D for Maggie Hassan and the Democrats in New Hampshire. I can definitely see Maggie Hassan actually losing this race because she only won by 0.1 last time. So she can definitely lose. In fact, I had her losing at some points. So now moving on to the state of North Carolina, I think Ted Budd is going to defeat Cherry Beasley. I think North Carolina is not going to be too competitive. You can argue it's going to be somewhat competitive. I think the margin is going to be 4 to 5% Republican. That is lean red. North Carolina, I think Democrats, they don't have too much hopes for this year. They did back in 2020. They did very close in the general election. I believe they have a Democratic incumbent as well, but he is not up for re-election. Tell me if I'm wrong. Other than that, I think Ted Budd should win. Now from the state of Georgia, actually, we're going to skip Georgia. We're going to skip the closer states towards the end. Colorado, I think Michael Bennet, who ran for president in 2019, who did not win the Democratic nominee, ended up dropping out. Dead terrible. I think he's going to win by 6%. This time around, I think he's going to win by a lean margin. I'm going to characterize Colorado lean Democrat for Mike Bennet. I think it's not going to be too competitive for the GOP. I think Colorado is slightly shifting away from the GOP, actually. Even though it's a red wave year, I still think, if it was a red wave year, if it was a blue wave year, I think he would win with a likely margin, 7 to 8%, rather than, I would say, 6%. So, Michael Bennet should still win. Moving on to the state of Florida, I do think Marco Rubio is going to retain his Senate seat for his last turn. I think he's going to win by 8 percentage points. That is considered likely margin. I'm going to leave Florida likely Republican. It has shifted towards the right ever since the Obama era. After the Obama era, Florida has never went back to the Democrats. And I just think, with that being said, Marco Rubio is in a favorable position. I think Val Demings will not get it done. I think it's just not her year. It's really not her year. Because if you do not know, Florida has gained 300,000 Republican registered voters. And if they gain 300,000 more Republican registered voters, I can tell you right now, Val Demings is not going to win. So, it's just not her year. And at a time where the Republicans have gained 300,000 more Republican registered voters in the state of Florida, yes, Florida is going to go red. No doubt about it. So, now, moving on to the state of Nevada. Nevada, Adam Laxalt is facing up the Democratic incumbent, Catherine Cortez Masto, who won by 4 percentage points last time. Now, you may think she could win again. Maybe not 4%, maybe a little bit less, 1%. Typically speaking, that this should be a red wave year. Well, yes. Maggie Hassan is facing a strong Republican candidate in Adam Laxalt, Trump endorsed, by the way, which could help him. And he is, I believe, the former Attorney General of the state of Nevada. So, if he was the Attorney General of the state of Nevada, that means he is very favorable And in that case, and a red wave year also helps him out. So I think it just makes sense to characterize Nevada tilt red for the GOP. Adam Laxalt, very favorable in the state of Nevada, and him being the Attorney General can show you that. And I think he's going to win by 1%. That is tilt red for Adam Laxalt. I mean, come on. He was the Attorney General. And a state that has voted Democrat for a long time in the general election, and even the Senate too as well, and the governor's election. So if he could be the Attorney General in a, I would say, Democrat battleground state, not really a Democratic state, but a Democrat battleground state, then yes, I think he can win. Now moving on, we just have 2 states and Arizona. So now I do think that Mark Kelly is going to narrowly take the defeat. He won by 2.4% last time to Martha McSally, arguably a terrible Republican candidate. So now speaking that it's not going to be Martha McSally, and it's going to be Blake Masters, who you can also argue is better than Martha McSally, and you can also argue that Blake Masters is no different from Martha McSally. Well, I do think he's going to do very well compared to Martha McSally. I think Martha McSally had no shot. I think Blake Masters can make Maricopa County closer. I still think Mark Kelly is going to win Maricopa County by about 1%, or maybe even 2%. I would say 1%. And I think it's going to be enough to have Blake Masters winning. I think Blake Masters is going to win. And I think he's going to win by the margin of 1% or less. I definitely see him winning by less than 1%. I can see him winning by 1% exactly. I just don't think he's going to win by anything more than 1%. His margin is going to be extremely close. Whether you like it or not, whoever wins this race, whether it's Mark Kelly or Blake Masters, it's going to be extremely close. Mark Kelly, if he wins, it's going to be by less than 1%. I can tell you that right now. If Blake Masters wins, it's going to be by 1% or less. I can tell you that right now. That's how close Arizona is going to be. And I think Maricopa County would decide this race. I think if Blake Masters can get more votes than Martha McSally did, I think Blake Masters can definitely win this race by less than 1%. I see it tilt red for now. I definitely see Mark Kelly winning. I can see that. But as of right now, I'm going to have Blake Masters with the slight victory. I think this is a Republican wave year. He is endorsed by Donald Trump. I think Republicans in general, whether you don't like Donald Trump or if you do, if you're an Arizona Republican, and if you don't like Donald Trump or if you do, they are going to look forward to having a Republican winning, whether they like the candidate or not. This is a red wave year, and that's what happens. Even if you don't like your candidate from your own party, you're still going to vote them because you just don't want Arizona going blue. And I see that happening right now. Now, people may not like Blake Masters. Republicans may not like Blake Masters, especially the, I would say, Mitt Romney voters, especially the McCain voters. I would say the neoconish Republicans, establishment Republicans may not like him. But they obviously don't want Mark Kelly, so they're going to have to vote Republican. And if this was a Democratic wave year, I do think Mark Kelly would defeat him. But this energizes Republicans. They just don't want a Democrat in the Senate. And that's the only reason why I think Blake Masters is going to win, because they just don't want a Democrat in the Senate. So I think it makes sense a lot. Now, Georgia, Herschel Walker is facing up Raphael Warnock, who won last time by about 2 percentage points. That is, I would say tilt to lean margin. I'm going to say tilt margin. Almost lean there. It doesn't really matter. 2% is the margin there he won last time. And I think Herschel Walker, who has no experience in politics, just like Dr. Oz from Pennsylvania. Okay, so fun fact, Pennsylvania and Georgia are the 2 states that the Republicans have shot themselves in the foot nominating unexperienced so-called, I guess now they became politicians. Georgia, Herschel Walker was never a politician. Pennsylvania, Dr. Mehmet Oz was never a politician. Both of these races can indicate you a Democratic victory. And that is why I would characterize Georgia tilt D for Raphael Warnock. As if right now, I can change my opinion when we get closer to November. But as of right now, Raphael Warnock is, I would say, I would say Herschel Walker is very, very competitive. I think he's going to bring a lot of competition to this race. I think he actually may end up winning. But as of right now, Raphael Warnock 0.5% is my margin. That is less than 1%. I think this is going to be. I think Georgia is going to be the closest state out of all states for the United States Senate this 2022, this November. I think Georgia is one of those states. To put it up in a short way, to sum this up in a short way, Georgia is one of those states that can go either way. It can swing to the left or it can swing to the right, depending on whether Georgians want the Democratic Party in the state of Georgia or the Republican Party. And I think you can also argue that this is that this race to save Georgia does show you that candidate quality matters, which you can argue that it does. And both candidate quality matters. If you're going to argue that, Pennsylvania and Georgia are great examples of that. Dr. Mehmet Oz, no experience in politics. Herschel Walker, no experience in politics. And both of those races could very well go blue because of that. They are nominating unelectable Republicans. So, tilt blue, Georgia, in my opinion, as of right now. Now, I had Herschel Walker winning in the past, and polls had that too. Now, polls are the complete opposite right now. They're favoring Warnock. They actually had Walker winning, but now it's the opposite as we get closer to November. Because, I mean, come on. And now Democrats actually have the generic ballot up right now, but basically by 0.1%. You can argue that's just exactly a tie. 0.1% is not that much at all. Well, you could also be happy if you're a Democrat because you're up by 0.1%. Who cares? Because this is supposed to be a Republican waiver, and Democrats and Republicans are not up in the generic ballot in a Republican waiver. That you should be happy if you're a Democrat. So, I mean, other than that, I think Republicans are going to retain the Senate. I think they're going to win 51 seats to the Democrats' 49 seats. All they need is to win a net gain of 1 seat. They just need 1 seat. And if it's that hard to do that, then Republicans, come on. That's just embarrassing. I think Pennsylvania and Georgia, both those two states, are the factors on how Democrats can win the Senate. If Democrats are going to win the Senate, I can tell you right now, it's only going to be because of Pennsylvania and Georgia. If Democrats would lose Pennsylvania or Georgia, it doesn't have to be both. If they just lose Georgia and they win Pennsylvania, they're not going to win. But Georgia and Pennsylvania, Republicans shot themselves in the foot. I can tell you that right now. Now, Herschel Walker, I think has a great chance at winning. I just think that the momentum, the momentum in Georgia is favoring Raphael Warnock because Herschel Walker is not that favorable. That's the key word. He's not that favorable. I wouldn't say unelectable. He very well can win. But I think 51-49 is a good prediction. Let me know in the comment section down below. This is my map.